This is TWiT.
Abrar, you have been just doing the research, boots on the ground sort of situation. Tell us what's going on.
My life has been skinny phones for the past 2 months. And so we're just going to talk about it. Whether you care about phones or not that are skinny, they're coming. So deal with it is really what's happening here. So Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference was on Monday, and we got all those updates about iOS 26, not 19, which I need to get out of the habit of saying. All those software updates, some Apple Intelligence sprinkled in features here and there. But the biggest thing that Apple didn't really talk about was adaptive power. So this is an AI-powered feature coming to iOS 26 that can extend your battery life. And it does this by scaling back power in ways that you hopefully don't notice. So according to Apple, when your battery usage is higher than usual, iPhone can make small performance adjustments to extend your battery life, including slightly lowering the display brightness or allowing some activities to take a little longer. And then also low power mode can automatically kick in when you're at 20%. So, the idea is to scale back in ways that you may or may not, hopefully you don't feel at all. But, you'll notice a slightly dimmer display and some things that aren't running at full capacity, just so that you can use your phone for a bit longer and not worry about being stranded. Now, this is a feature that I'm sure anyone and everyone will welcome, but you have to think about what Apple is preparing for, and what Apple is potentially, reportedly, we don't know for sure, preparing for is a skinnier iPhone. So the iPhone 17 Air is what some people are calling it. Maybe it'll become the iPhone 26 Air. I don't know. Who knows, right? But essentially, there have been all these rumors about Apple making a skinnier iPhone. Now, if you make a slimmer phone, there's one really big trade-off, and it's the battery, because you have less space. So the battery is smaller, and then it lasts less, right? It doesn't have as much juice in there to last you a bit longer. And I personally experienced this when I was testing the Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge, which I will start by saying is a delightful phone to use. I was very surprised by how refreshing it was to use something that actually feels really light. I mean, the skinny factor is like, okay, but the lightness of it was just unparalleled. It was so genuinely refreshing to be able to type on something that you barely even feel in your hands, and you throw it in your purse or in your pocket and you don't even feel the weight of it. Very, very cool. But it lasted just about 24 hours. So you don't have that spillover battery that you have with most phones these days, where you're like, okay, it's the end of the day. I use my phone a lot, but I still got that, 20, 30% just in case. So the biggest opportunity and challenge here for Apple is to make a skinny iPhone last longer, make it last beyond that 24 hours. And so maybe this adaptive power feature is the superpower. Maybe this is the secret sauce to help that phone last a little bit longer. And, the thing about Apple, we know there's the superpower that they have where if they do something, then people start to care a bit more than if somebody else does it. I don't think a lot of people are as excited about the Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge. I'm sorry, Samsung, but you notice what people pick up on and what they don't, and people kind of brush that aside. But then what happens when Apple does it, right? If and when Apple releases a skinny iPhone, do people then say, oh, wow, this is revolutionary. This is so great. And on top of that, we don't have to worry about compromising battery life. The last thing I'll plug here is that we have a CNET survey that we just released where, only 7% of people said that they cared about having a thinner phone when they're upgrading their device. But the thing that people do care about is battery life, right? That's the thing that they really care about. And the other thing is cameras. And there have been reports that a skinny iPhone would just have one camera lens, kind of like the iPhone 16e, but that would be kind of disappointing because I'm sure a skinny iPhone will be marketed as a premium device. And if you have a premium device, you want to have premium level cameras, and I'm sure Apple will do its very best to make that one camera lens as great as it can be, but throw on two at least, make it worthwhile. So essentially all this to say, I'm curious to see if Apple releases the skinny iPhone, how people will respond. But I want to know what you think. Do you even care personally about a skinnier phone?
I was just watching yesterday an Amazon Prime show. It's a animated show about a hospital, and it's run by aliens. Anyway,
Great.
Really fun show. I think it's called Second Greatest Hospital in the Galaxy or something along those lines. And because it's Amazon Prime, they introduced ads, and so you have to pay $2.99 or something to not have ads, and it's not worth it because I've rarely watched shows on there. Yeah. All of that is a preamble to say an ad popped up, and in it, Will Smith's son, is it Jaden?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jaden was doing an ad for Samsung's thin phone, and it was the weirdest commercial because it was positing that your outfit is ruined by a thicker phone because your pants are getting worn down by a thicker phone.
This is like the Subway commercial with the fat wallet. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Sorry, just a throwback there. Yeah.
No, but, yeah, it's just exactly. And I'm going, okay, yeah, sure. It was very much like, speaking in the Gen Z lingo of like your fit and your drip are going to be ruined by a phone. So you need to get this phone because it won't ruin your fit.
Wow.
And I felt like it was all sort of contrived. But all that said, these bigger phones are hefty things. And so if we can keep them at this larger size, because I really do like this larger size, but it can be a little bit less hefty.
Yes.
That's fine for me, particularly because and again, I'm talking about me specifically, pretty much everywhere I go in my home, I have a place to put my phone that it is charging. Yes. And so like right now it is, I just pulled it off. It is on a magnetic stand that is charging the device. And if I am upstairs sitting on the sofa right near me, I've got a thing I could plug. So my phone is very rarely running out of battery. In my car, I can plug it in there as well. Yeah. But that said, if I'm not talking about me, if I'm talking about the habits that I see anecdotally of others, battery life is very important because people do not charge their devices all throughout. Well, it's been my experience that people are not charging their devices all throughout the day and are needing them to last. And so, yeah, I think making the thin phone the, premium device where some people are going to go after it makes sense because it means that it's not going to impact as easily the overall customer sat that one gets with the iPhone. And I think that's the thing that's important there is people who really want that phone will be able to get it, but many people who get iPhones are not going to get that premium phone, and therefore you won't hear the complaints about the battery life not lasting as long because you know what you're buying into if you decide to buy into that. Yeah. I did see you mentioned about the adaptive power feature. I am, of course, running the betas, testing everything and learning about it as we head into the fall. Yeah. And it was kind of Apple has over the time introduced a whole bunch of different settings and features around the battery, around battery health, around battery life, and this just being the latest one, I think it's a really cool addition. Yeah. But I think it also speaks to the overall culture of battery anxiety that I see, and people not necessarily understanding battery chemistry and having a lot of fears around should I be charging my phone overnight, a lot of incorrect information getting passed out. I specifically had a family member who went to an AT&T store, got a new phone, and the person there was telling them, don't charge your phone overnight because it'll ruin the battery, which is not true. Yeah. And it hasn't been true for a long time. Yeah. Yeah, so this is a great thing to focus on, I guess, is what I'm saying, is any sort of fixing or attempting to fix of battery life and battery anxiety is good.
Absolutely. No, you're so right, because I think phones have become a lifeline for a lot of people. I mean, in terms of even not just staying connected with people, but it's our safety, right? It's when you go out and you don't have your phone's not working. What do you do? Your phone's dead. How do you contact anybody? How do you feel safe if you're out and about? But I think it is really great that, hopefully Apple is tackling that before this phone comes out. And then in terms of the cool factor of the skinny phones that you mentioned earlier, this is like Samsung in particular has been very heavily marketing marketing its foldables, its flip phone in particular, to a younger crowd. They really want that Gen Z audience to tap into the, like a more fun form factor. A lot of people are bored by the fact that all of our phones look the same. So I think that's a big push as to why they have released this thinner phone. And then on Apple's side, we keep also hearing rumors about a foldable iPhone, and who knows when we'll see that. Maybe next year, maybe not. But Apple will always take its time and figure out how to make these things appeal to people as much as they can at the right time with the right form factor. But the S25 Edge, the shocking thing about it, it's $1,100, but it has the smallest battery capacity across the S25 series. It's got that 3,900 milliamp hour battery, again, it will last you all day. I'm a heavy phone user, but not having that safety net of, okay, I still got a little bit more juice to go for the rest of the day, can feel like a big deal. I think. This is a larger phone in general, but the Oppo Find N5 is also a skinny phone, but it has that 5,600 milliamp hour battery, but you've got two screens to work with there. So it's cool to see how they still manage to, pack in a lot of that battery capacity into a thinner form factor. And I think Apple can potentially do the same. And I hope they really do. And then the last thing that you mentioned is not having to compromise the screen size. So the S25 Edge, it has a 6.7 inch display, which was so great because you still get that larger form factor in terms of the size of the screen, but it's still so feather light by comparison to other phones. So, I do think if and when Apple does this, it will actually kind of catch on and then benefit other companies. I think it would benefit Samsung too, because people who don't have an iPhone or don't, want to buy an iPhone will say, oh, I like that skinny iPhone. Oh, Samsung has one too. Or, if someone wants to switch over to the other side, I think, that competition benefits everybody and hopefully consumers the most. But we're going to have to wait until September and see what's in store. I don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah. As it stands, it's still a rumor.
Yep.
But we'll see if that makes its way to us.